Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 31st of October 2018, so the last trading day of October this year. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this session where we're gonna have a look at a few charts. I believe are quite interesting right now. But as always, before we start looking at those, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay guys, so now then let's jump into the first chart. Now this is Dow Jones and this is a daily chart of Dow Jones basically. So guys, let's have a look at this. Currently the US markets have opened now already, so they're running in the positive and they're running in the green zone. So in a way, what we're gonna keep an eye on here is this little level here that I've got highlighted. I was talking about this index in one of my previous videos last week, and I was telling you guys to keep an eye on the 25,315 zone, approximately there. Let me just slightly adjust that kind of so that we would have it for our future reference. So in a way, this is the level to watch out for now, because a nice good break here and a close on the daily candle here could potentially open the path towards this area right here at around 25,800. Now as you can see, this 25,800 acted as a very nice area of resistance here lately lately on the 16th of October, to be honest. So, and also it also acted as a very good area of support here in the first half of September. So in a way, this area here, the 25,800, becomes the one to watch, especially if we're going to get a nice break here above the 25,315 zone. So so for now, guys, of course, keep your eyes on this one. At the moment, we're looking quite positive, and also given the fact that we're now trading back above the 200 EMA here, shown as the black line here on the daily chart that I've got. So in a way, if this is going to stay here today, and of course, if we're going to stay here close above the 25,315 area, approximately there, now this, like I said, this could look quite promising for the bulls here, and we could see this one. This index potentially traveling higher here towards this level right here, the 25,800 that I was just talking about. In a way, you could also have a look at this downside resistance line that we're having, that we've managed to break. Of course, we broke it to the upside here, and yep, this is another good potential confirmation of the possible upside move here. So in a way, for now, be very careful, of course, but nevertheless, I mean, at the moment, judging from the picture that we're seeing right now, this is looking quite good for the index. But again, we still have the full day to trade, full trading day. So yep, if suddenly this reverses back down and moves back below this downside resistance line, now this is where we could start worrying, because if this if this pushes lower here and drops below the 24,415 zone, approximately there, this is where it could turn out to be quite ugly for the index. Of course, we're going to aim for these lows here that we saw on the 29th of October, on Monday basically. So, and this was approximately around the 24,125 zone, something like that. So also quite an important level. But to be honest, if this is going to roll over here, I mean, we could see further declines towards this little level around here that was marked by the low of the 28th of June, and that was approximately around the 24,000 mark. So of course, for now, guys, keep your eyes on this. Keep your eyes on this higher level here at around 25,315. Let's see how that plays out today. Jumping into silver now. So silver is breaking the short-term upside support line nicely here, and we're currently aiming for this possible test of the support area around here, around the 14 0.23 zone, something like that, approximately there. Of course, maybe you could put it in a way slightly higher, so around the 2024 area. So 14.24 is the area to watch right now, because if this continues to drop further, and if we're gonna get a nice close here on the daily candle below that level here, below the 14.24, this could potentially open the path towards this area around here, which was marked by the low of the 11th of September, and that's approximately around the 13.95 zone. Certainly, of course, we do have the nice beautiful number of 14 here on the way, but again, like I said, this is the area to watch. If let's say the 14 doesn't hold, the 13.95 could be the one to watch, especially, like I said, given the fact that it acted as the lowest point of September. So for now, of course, guys, keep your eyes on the 14.24. Let's see how that plays out today. If, like I said, if we're going to get a nice close here, then yep, we could potentially push a little bit further here towards the lowest point of September that I was just talking about. And if that doesn't hold, I mean, well, guess what? I mean, it could potentially continue falling. But for now, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much here, and let's keep an eye on the 14.24. For us to get comfortable with the upside here again, we would need to see this one traveling back above the short-term upside support line that was taken here from the same 11th of September, and of course closing above the 14.50 zone approximately there. You could in a way round it up here a little bit, so a nice good close above that could potentially open the path towards these higher levels that were tested last week. So in that's approximately around the 14.70 or higher. So for now, of course, the upside is slightly off the table, and this is what we're aiming for right now. We're aiming for the 14.24 area. Let's have a look at a few pairs now. So the EURGBP, certainly, as you probably understand, the euro is kind of selling off right now. So for those euro traders, for the euro bulls, are not having the best time of their lives today. So looking at this pair here, you can see that we're still above this kind of, I would probably call it medium or short term, actually short term downside resistance line taken from the the peak of the 28th of August here. In a way, this is where it seems that the pair is heading towards to, but at the same time, it's kind of looking at this short-term picture here that we've got. We can see that it's within a somewhat like a channel here, but to be honest, because it got broken here to the upside, we can probably remove this upper side of it and just kind of focus on this short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 10th of October. And this is going to be an interesting spot. Let's say if, of course, if the pair continues falling and if the pair breaks the 0.8860 zone. Now this is marked here by the well, as you can see, it acted as a very nice area of support here in the past, so also not far from the peak of the 22nd of October. So in a way, this is the area to watch. And also, you can see on the 4-hour chart, it coincides here with the 200 EMA, almost coincides, of course. So in a way, this is where we're going to keep an eye on. But if this gets broken, I mean, we could see a further decline here towards this line, towards this short-term upside support line. And if it fails to break this upside support line, then, well, we could potentially maybe see the bulls stepping in here and maybe trying to push this one back up here again. So in a way, as long as we're going to stay here above this short-term upside support line, and of course above this medium-term downside, or as medium-term downside resistance line. So as long as we're here, we're gonna aim for higher levels again, because like I said, the bulls could potentially take advantage of that and push this pair back up again. So, but for us to, let's say, start looking at much lower levels, and this is the area that I'm keeping an eye on. This is the 0.8815 zone, approximately there, was marked by the lows of the 24th of October, because this, in a way, if this pair decides to travel lower, it will break these two lines here and get closer towards the 0.8815. But like I said, for better confirmation, to be more on the safe side, we could in a way keep our eyes on the 0.8815, and nice break below that could potentially open the path towards much lower levels. But for now, now, judging by this, I mean, let's see how this plays out. Initially, of course, let's see how the 0.8860 level plays out, because if it's going to hold and if the pair struggles to break below that, then, well, we could see maybe the bulls taking charge again here and pushing this one higher. But again, this is the arrow that I've got here. This is the scenario that I'm keeping in mind. So let's see how that plays out. Jumping into GBPUSD, looking at this 4-hour chart here. So let me just adjust the line here nicely. So we're still below this downside resistance line, the short-term downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 16th of October. Certainly, of course, you can see, and you probably has understood by looking at the EURGBP, that the British pound is kind of advancing nicely here today. You can see it curved up near this little level right here. Just let me quickly put that one on the chart, and that was approximately around the 126.95 area. So it managed to rebound from this one, and now you can see it's pushing higher. What we're gonna keep a close eye on here is, let me just yep, so this is the level that we're keeping an eye on, to the 127.85. But if you're not really convinced about this one, you can in a way adjust this. You could in a way put this one here, and basically this could be our target here for today, the 127.90 area, approximately there. You can see it kind of acted as a good area of support initially, but then kind of got broken. So, and also it's not far from this downside resistance line. So for us to start, let's say, start looking at much higher levels here, even though I've got the arrow around this area around here, around 128.65, we could in a way adjust that slightly here right now, because like I said, if we get a nice break here above this downside resistance line, and the pair decides to kind of continue pushing higher and moves above the 128.15 area. Now this is where it could become interesting for the bulls. We could then potentially target the 128.65, or even actually if you're more on the cautious side, you could in a way keep an eye on this little level around here, around the 128.55, or even actually 158.50, something like that, approximately in that region. In a way, for those who are more cautious, you could in a way wait for this one to get back above this level here, above the 128.55, and then you could potentially aim for much higher levels here. This is where the path towards the 129.20 area could be opened, or even higher. So in terms of the downside, now this is where it could become a little bit more interesting, because if this downside resistance line continues to hold, and we'll see that the bears are struggling to kind of push this pair above this downside resistance line, then we could see maybe something of a reversal here back down, where we could then target the 126.95 area, from which it bounced off nicely here. So something like this could be possible as well, but for such a scenario, we would need to get a good strong rejection here near this downside resistance line, and a further move to the downside. And to be honest, for those who are more again on the cautious side, or on the careful side, so in a way you could wait until this gets back down here towards the 126.95, or of course, should I say, if it gets here. If it does that, then a nice good break below that could potentially open the path towards lower levels, and this is where we're gonna aim for the 126.60 area first, which was marked by the lowest point of August this year. So some very good areas, potential areas of support here, but of course initially keep your eyes on this downside resistance line, and of course these higher resistance levels that I was just talking about. And let's quickly jump into one pair that you probably don't look very often, but that's US dollar against the Mexican peso. And you probably, some of you who are aware of the news, and this has exploded here on Monday. So we're now trading above this 20.25 zone. Of course, we managed to break the psychological 20 zone, and from which it kind of pushed higher, and it continues to push higher. It seems that it doesn't want to stop here. Now we do have the next potential area of resistance here around the 20.58 area, which was marked here by the highs of the 20th of June. So one of the levels. But to be honest, if you want to be maybe a little bit, we could in a way bring it down a little bit towards this inside swing low here that we had around the 20.50 area, something like that, approximately there. Now this could initially be a nice target to watch, and of course if that doesn't hold, we will then aim for higher levels. But for now, of course, keep your eyes on that one, and especially, well, still keep your eyes on this 20.25, because the day is not finished. This daily candle is not finished yet, so let's see how that plays out. Because if it's going to hold, we could maybe then potentially see, maybe tomorrow or on Friday, we could see this pair maybe retracing back down a little bit, potentially testing the 19.90 zone, from which, as you can see on well, actually yesterday, it bounced off nicely to the upside. So in a way, we could see something like this if, of course, the 20.25 zone holds today and doesn't allow the pair to close above that. And we could see this one, maybe a little bit of a retracement back down here towards the towards this upside support line, the short-term upside support line, from which the pair could move higher again. So in a way, keep your eyes on this one. Keep your eyes on this pair. It's quite interesting right now. It's advancing quite sharply. So, but this, even though it's, like I said, even though it's very interesting, be very cautious with these, and especially be very cautious with counter trading. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's Aussie dollar against the Canadian dollar. So as you can see, we're still below this downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 22nd of June, so medium term downside resistance line. And what we're going to keep an eye on here is still we're going to keep an eye on this level here around the 0.9320. As you can see, it kind of continues to hold the rate down, and if this suddenly reverses back to the upside and we get a nice break above this downside resistance line, still what we're going to wait here for is the a good confirmation break above the 0.9365. Now this is where it could become more interesting, because we could then break above this high that we saw around the 19th of October. So this, in a way, this could open the path towards much higher levels, and especially aiming for the 26th of September high, and that was approximately around the 0.9490 area. So keep your eyes on that one. Of course, this scenario is only if we're going to get a nice break above this downside resistance line and eventually a nice good close above the 0.9365. On the downside, for us to get comfortable with lower levels, we would probably take a very cautious approach here and wait until this would get back down here towards the 0.9175 area, because a nice good break below that could potentially open towards open the path towards these lows here near the 0.9110 approximately there. That was that held nicely the rate from dropping lower on the 5th of October. So quite an interesting pair this one is, and especially because we're not far from this downside resistance line. And if, like I said, if we get a nice break here, that's wonderful for the bulls, and we could see this one traveling maybe a little bit higher. So okay guys, I hope you found it useful, and I do apologize that I went a little bit over my time, but yep, thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me tomorrow morning at my Traders Espresso, and that's 6 o'clock GMT time, 7 o'clock British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much, and bye-bye.